Good evening and welcome to Nebraska Nightly. I'm Haley Ryerson.
And I'm Hallie Gutzweiler. Our top story of the day includes Ketanji Brown Jackson becoming the first Black woman to serve as a Supreme Court Justice. And coming up, we have some of our top national and local stories.
This is Nebraska Nightly.
Live from the University of Nebraska College of Journalism and Mass Communications, this is Nebraska Nightly.
Thanks for tuning in. Judge Jackson was confirmed yesterday on a 53-47 vote, with 3 Republicans joining all 50 Democrats in President Biden's nomination.
On this vote, the yeas are 53, the nays are 47, and this nomination is confirmed.
All right.
The 3 Republican senators were Susan Collins of Maine, Lisa Murkowski of Alaska, and Mitt Romney of Utah. Judge Jackson will fill in retiring Justice Stephen Breyer's seat and be sworn in at the end of the court's term this summer.
For more national news, the International Energy Agency said Thursday that its member countries are releasing 60 million barrels of oil from their emergency reserves.
The Paris-based organization says the new commitments made by its 31 members nations include the United States and majority of Europe. 120 million barrels will be released over 6 months, making it the largest release in group's history.
With voter registration deadlines approaching this month, political correspondent Holly Fisher has details on dates, deadlines, and forms you need.
Thanks, Hallie and Haley. Tuesday, May 10th means a lot more than just finals week for UNL students. The primary election will take place that day. To vote, eligible Nebraska residents first must be registered. Registration is an easy process, taking just minutes to complete, and it can be done online or in person. The only materials required for registration are a driver's license or state identification card. Mail-in registration forms are available at most post offices, banks, and libraries, or you can stop by the Election Commission's office in Lincoln. The office has a 24/7-hour drop box for them. Online registration can be completed in a few easy steps on the Election Commissioner's website. You can download voter registration forms, early or absentee ballot request forms, as well as find your polling place. Friday, April 22nd, just 2 weeks from today, is the last day to register online to vote in the primary, with Wednesday, May 4th being the deadline to register in person. Voters eager to cast their ballots in person can do so starting Monday, April 11th at the Election Commissioner's office. We will continue to keep you updated on important deadlines and stories as we get closer to the election. Back to you, Haley and Hallie.
Thanks, Holly. Appreciate the update on how to vote this coming election. For some Lincoln news, we have construction on this coming Monday for closures on sections of Holdridge Street and Mulberry Street. These will be closed for water main expansion projects.
The projects are projected to be completed by this October, and the suggested detour is 84th Street to O and 148th Street.
Public health has been on everybody's radar since COVID hit in 2020. Jenna Reynolds shares what it is to be celebrated during National Public Health Week.
Thanks, Haley. At the Lincoln Lancaster County Health Department this week is about thanking public health workers and volunteers for protecting and promoting the public's health, especially over the last 2 years. They appreciate all the public health professionals and volunteers in the community. Their hard work is making Lincoln one of the safest places in the state during the COVID-19 pandemic. Lancaster County continues to stay in green on the risk dial, making this the 3rd week in a row. The risk dial hasn't been in green this long since last July. Lincoln is still holding vaccine clinics. If you want to learn more, visit covid19.lincoln.ne.gov. Health professionals are also focusing on connecting patients to free health resources. One of those is the Nebraska Tobacco Quit Line, which can be reached at 1-800-QUIT-NOW. The Lincoln Lancaster County Health Department encourages people to take a stand against tobacco and the usage of vapes. You can learn more about the movement at tobaccofreelancastercounty.org. We'll have more information on the tobacco-free movement in a future newscast. Health professionals say beating tobacco use is a never-ending battle. Haley?
Thanks, Jenna. We appreciate all the frontline workers and the sacrifices they have made.
Up next, we have student meteorologist Carmela Latuca with the weather for tomorrow's spring game.
Thanks, Hallie and Haley. Yes, tomorrow is the first spring game of the season. It's going to be our first Husker game. Well, sort of. But weather conditions for tomorrow look to be a lot better than they were earlier this week, where we saw scattered rain showers, gusty winds, and yes, even snowflakes that fell through the air. But as we take a look at the game day forecast, if you're getting to the game around 9-10 a.m., conditions should be in the upper 30s to low 40s, but we're going to quickly warm up towards kickoff as we're looking at near 60 degrees. But I do want to note, though, those strong south to southeast winds at 15 to 20 miles per hour, and that definitely has the ability to impede kickoffs and field goal attempts. But as we head towards halftime, we're looking at low 60s, and by the time the game ends, we could be looking at potentially in the mid 60s. And for all those Husker fans that are celebrating the win tomorrow in the Haymarket, we should still be warm tomorrow night into the low 60s. And if you thought this was a wild week of weather, just wait till Michael's 7-day forecast, where we have a roller coaster of temperatures and possible severe weather next week. Back to you at the desk.
All right, thanks, Carmelo. When we return, we'll take a look at the full 7-day forecast.
There's so many different choices that we're faced with as an undergrad, especially a first-generation undergraduate student.
McNair means to me opportunities and scientific discovery within a community that I wouldn't necessarily have the access to or the opportunity to be a part of.
I definitely do feel that the McNair program has helped me a ton in preparing for graduate school.
The most important thing that I learned from working with Dr. Harris and from managing my own research project within the McNair program is the idea of having a support system that can be with you in and out of the classroom as well.
To me, McNair is all about community and helping you, again, as an individual, achieving your goals.
I remember when I was a freshman, I definitely didn't have the confidence to really get into graduate school or do research, but it's definitely possible for anyone who wants to join.
McNair is one of, I would say, probably the most impactful part of my college experience because it aids specifically in my intellectual development with a bunch of other young scientific learners. I can look at McNair and say that this is the reason why I want to pursue what I want to pursue and have the confidence to pursue it as well.
Welcome back to Nebraska Nightly.
All right, Michael, what does the weather look like for us this week?
Well, it certainly will be a very interesting week going into next week. But first, let's talk about the conditions that are going on right now. We can see that we have low 50s currently with clearing skies. We've seen a lot of sunshine today, which is the first we haven't seen that much sunshine for the past couple of days. We've also have blustery northwest winds from 20 to 30 miles per hour, and those winds have been blustery since Wednesday, so it certainly has been an interesting week. For today, though, the air is quite dry. Our relative humidity values are very low, so the National Weather Service has an active red flag warning for our area until 8 p.m. this evening. As we switch over to our surface features, we're going to describe current conditions going on right now. This storm system was the cause of our rain-snow mix and also our very gusty winds. As you can see, these isobars are very close together, indicating much stronger winds. We have been seeing sunshine today, so that's why nothing has been pretty much going on in our area of the country. However, this warm front is slated to come to the area later tonight into tomorrow, which will help switch our winds out of the south and help us get warmer temperatures throughout this weekend. Tonight conditions, we're going to be down into the lower 20s with that strong north wind from 15 to 25 miles per hour in clear skies. Heading to your Saturday, we're going to be warming up for your game day into the lower 60s with mostly sunny skies and winds to be out of the southeast at 10 to 20 miles per hour, so not as windy. Heading to your Saturday night, it will not be as cold as we have partly cloudy skies to help moderate our temperatures, and still winds will be out of the southeast at 5 to 10 miles per hour. Your Sunday is looking to be even warmer with 70 for highs near 70 and southeast winds earlier to mid part of the day with a cold front coming in later on, which will switch our winds to the northwest later on. Heading to your 7-day forecast, we're going to be talking about your Monday. We're going to be in the upper 60s with sunny skies. But Tuesday and Wednesday are days to talk about because there is a dynamic storm system that is going to be approaching the plains. Right now, the National Weather Service and the SPC has been giving the possibility of widespread severe weather, especially throughout the plains and to the south. However, we are still a few days away, and a lot of details are still still need to come together. So we're going to be waiting to see if a lot of these ingredients will come together. But Tuesday and Wednesday will be a day to watch. Otherwise, the rest of the week is looking pretty nice, with temperatures dipping down into the 50s by your Thursday and into your Friday, and lows down into the lower to mid 30s. That is a look at your 7-day. Back to you.
Thank you, Michael. For 10 years, Los Angeles artist Tim Yude has worked on his 100 Novels project. This week marks his first week of 7 in Nebraska, adding on to the collection. Jill Lampkins has a story.
Thanks, Hallie. This week, artist Tim Yude completed the retyping of his 72nd novel, O Pioneers, written by Willa Cather. Using a similar make and model typewriter as the original author, Yude creates abstract drawings through his unique retypings. 6 hours a day, devoted reader and artist Tim Yude worked on retyping one of Willa Cather's novels on 2 overlapping pieces of paper, resulting in this. For 10 years, Yude has been working on the retyping of several novels in this distinct way. Early on, he discovered that a book was essentially a rectangle of black text within a larger rectangle of white.
I remember distinctly, I sat there and I closed the book and I really held it like this and thought about what if I could just crush the whole book onto one page and feel the words, you know, the weight of the words and the texture of the words. How could I do that?
Yude travels around the world retyping novels in locations relevant to the authors and their stories. This literary pilgrimage, as Yude would say, has helped him succeed in becoming the best reader he can be.
Each day I sit down, I feel like I can learn something new.
Yude says through each piece, he is creating a metaphor of how our brain processes reading a book.
It's really an abstract drawing that represents the entire novel. And I liken that to what happens to our brains when we read. Something happens on a cellular level when we experience something in readings.
Originally, Yude didn't have author Willa Cather on his radar until The Fault in Our Stars author John Green and his wife Sarah introduced him to her work.
When you encounter a writer like Willa Cather, who very much uses the place and the vernacular of the place and what went on here and how the frontier was developed, and actually coming to visit and seeing the place even though it's vastly changed, and traveling back in time through the novel is a really rewarding way to go about living my life, I think.
Tomorrow, Yude heads for Red Cloud, Nebraska to retype his 73rd novel, The Song of the Lark. He will complete the Willa Cather segment of his project in Omaha with his retyping of My Antonia.
Thanks, Jill. Hannah Rupke has more about a month-long celebration that happened this past month.
Thanks, Hallie and Haley. That's right, March is Music in Our Schools Month, and I caught up with some local music educators and talked about why music is so special to their schools and students.
Every year, during the month of March, schools across the country celebrate Music in Our Schools Month.
We just really like to take March to really promote music in our schools and how much students can benefit from music education at all levels, pre-K through 12.
The benefits music brings impact students in many ways.
Music is good for our soul, and it does something for us that, there are a few other things that do the same things, but music is special in that it engages our mind, it engages our body, it engages us emotionally, and allows us to express ourselves.
Because of its uniqueness, it is important to keep music in our school curriculum.
And music is an interesting mix of, yes, it's a subject in our schools and there are classes for music, but it's also an extracurricular. There are things involved in our music program that take place outside of the school. So it really helps students cross that line between a class and an extracurricular. In addition to the music learning, we have a music family here.
The celebration of music education doesn't just stop at the end of March. It continues all year long.
It's great that we have Music in Our Schools Month, but for me, every month is Music in Our Schools Month.
Reporting for Nebraska Nightly, I'm Hannah Remke.
Thanks, Hannah. When we come back from the break, Marko Jurkovic will give us the sports rundown from this past week.
Is anybody down to go to a first gen event today? So what do you think?
Looks great. Let's go.
Welcome to First Generation Nebraska.
Welcome back to Nebraska Nightly. The Nebraska Spring Game is tomorrow, and with news on that and more in sports, here's Marko Jurkovic.
Thanks, guys. And yeah, the wait is finally over for the Nebraska Spring Game tomorrow. Action kicks off at Memorial Stadium at 1 p.m. for the annual Red-White Game. Fans can still purchase tickets for the game online or at the gate. We'll have highlights and more for the game next week. Now to Husker baseball. The team's been on the road since March 28th and have been riding a hot streak this week. They were competing at peak performance in Columbus as they swept Ohio State. This included an impressive 17-5 win over the Buckeyes on Sunday, aided by a 3-hit performance by Bryce Matthews and 4 RBIs from Luke Sartori. Overall, Nebraska outscored Ohio State 32-13 in the series. Despite the good form, the Huskers dropped a game Wednesday to Omaha, falling to the Mavericks 6-5. Looking ahead, the Huskers start a 3-game series tonight at home against the Big Ten leading Rutgers Scarlet Knights. On to softball, as 2 of the top bats in the sport both come from Nebraska. Gretna native and Husker sophomore Billy Andrews leads the Big Ten currently with 17 home runs on the year. She led the nation until last weekend when Addison Barnard of Wichita State hit 5 home runs on the weekend to increase her total to 18 on the year. Barnard, a native of Beatrice, was nationally recognized as the extra inning softball player of the week for her performance. Andrews and the rest of her Husker squad return to action tonight as they begin a 3-game road trip series against Michigan State. Nebraska is currently on a 10-game win streak and sit atop the Big Ten Conference. Now in U.S. soccer news, the World Cup draw was held last week and the groups are set. The United States was placed in Group B, along with England, Iran, and a yet-to-be-determined 4th team. That will be decided by an ongoing European playoff and will either be Wales, Ukraine, or Scotland. The Americans aim for a strong performance after failing to qualify for the tournament in 2018. And of course, this World Cup will be the first ever to be played in the winter season due to the arid climate of host country Qatar. World Cup 2022 is set for kickoff on November 21st. Now, speaking of faraway dates, inevitably after the spring season is over, attention will turn to the Husker season debut. Nebraska will take on the Northwestern Wildcats in Dublin, Ireland on August 27th, 141 days away. Definitely not as close as some Husker fans would want. Back over to you ladies at the desk.
All right, thanks, Marko. I'm pretty excited about football to be back. Any plans to go to Ireland?
As cool as that would be, probably not. But I will be going to the spring game tomorrow.
All right.
Stay with us. We will be right back after the break.
Girls Code Lincoln is a really important part of my life, and I feel like I've created such a good relationship with the people in the group. It's really just such a strong community of girls who inspire each other to do better. It's just a place where I can come, be myself, and learn more about not only technology, but also making new relationships with people here.
There is a place for working individuals who want to work full-time and support their families to also pursue their dream, their educational dreams. So our graduates tell us that the program really broadened their perspective and they learned organizational context. They also learned to be good followers, team members, leaders, and effective members of the organization.
Welcome back to Nebraska Nightly. As we enter spring, there's plenty of more opportunities to get out or see a show or a concert. Tanner has more on that after the break.
Welcome back. I'm Tanner Dykstra, and I have your entertainment rundown for this week. There's plenty to go and do in Lincoln this April, so let's start by taking a look at some live music events. As always, you can catch a show at the Bourbon Theater. This month, they'll be hosting rock groups like Clutch tonight or Thievery Corporation on Sunday. If classic country is more your thing, country music icon George Strait will be at the Pinnacle Bank Arena on Saturday, April 23rd. And speaking of shows at Pinnacle Bank, the biggest show coming this month will be 3 days earlier on April 20th. The one and only Snoop Dogg will be joined by special guest country rock artist Co Wetzel. If you want a bit of a calmer evening, try some performances at the Lead Center. This month will include pianist Joyce Young on April 19th, and the award-winning Broadway hit Come From Away can be seen at the end of the month. If you want to make the drive over to Omaha, the Liberty First Credit Union Arena will be hosting the classic jazz rock band Chicago on April 20th, and on April 22nd, comedy fans can see John Mulaney at the CHI Health Center. And of course, if you'd like a night out at the movies, there's plenty of options this month. For family-friendly fun, Sonic 2 opens in theaters tonight, as does Michael Bay's newest adrenaline in the Harry Potter spin-off series, Fantastic Beasts: The Secrets of Dumbledore, and the act Viking and a wacky Nick Cage action comedy with The Unbearable Weight of Massive Talent. Those films open on April 22nd. And one last breaking headline, the Academy of Motion Pictures announced earlier today that actor Will Smith will be banned from the Oscar ceremony for 10 years after he slapped comedian Chris Rock on stage. The Academy said that Smith will still be eligible for future nominations and wins, but he cannot attend the ceremony. Haley, back to you.
Thanks, Tanner. Sounds like a lot of exciting events to look forward to.
I was so excited to see Come From Away come to the Lead Center. Such an incredible musical.
I've heard the tickets are selling out really fast for that show.
Oh boy.
Yes, well, that's all we have for this week. Thank you so much for joining us.
Have a great weekend.